So the Climate Music Project, so one of the goals is to reach many people, obviously. And so so as I was thinking about this and what would be the right kind of piece to write, two things that seemed very important. One was portability, that it should be easy to carry around and do in different locations. And another seemed to be the desirability of writing a piece that not just for a single ensemble, but one that could be adopted by many different ensembles. People probably would be interested in how the data influences the music. And so a couple of things that I think will be relatively easy to listen for in the piece along those lines. Population growth is modeled by the density of musical events. So as the population grows from about 1.4 billion people in 1880 to, depending on which projection you use, somewhere around 9 to 12 billion people in 2080, the music becomes more and more dense, more events per unit of time. And that also gives the impression of increasing speed in the music. And then the carbon emissions, which grow enormously by a factor of about 112 from 1880 to 2080 projected out, that's modeled by the ratio of low to high sounds in the piece. So if you imagine a piano, the piece is not for piano, but if you imagine a piano, the piece begins in the middle of the piano keyboard in a very small, using only 7 notes, really, 7 contiguous notes in the middle of the keyboard, and over the course of the piece expands outward to a very wide frequency range. So those are things that will be very audible. Yeah, so when people look at when I look at a scientific graph, I won't speak for anyone else. When I look at a graph of scientific data, I know how to read a graph, but it doesn't necessarily have speak to me with a kind of urgency, an emotional or visceral component that is something we so often associate with musical experiences. And so I hope that the music will convey in a more compelling way the urgency of the situation and just how extreme the growth in these different data sets is. So I made the decision to write for string quartet. And there are a number of factors that went into that decision. One is that I love writing for string quartet. It's a wonderful medium. A second reason is that we are living in a kind of a golden age of string quartets. There are so many really great string quartets, young quartets, middle career quartets, late career quartets. It's just an explosion, really, of interest in this genre, both on the part of musicians and on the part of audiences. And then there's the nature of the ensemble itself. I mean, stringed instruments are so flexible and agile, and you can create a homogeneous sound because they're all members of the same family, the string family. And on the other hand, you can explore contrapuntal ideas, treating each instrument as its own separate voice. And there are a wide variety of interesting timbral effects that you can create on stringed instruments. So it seemed like a very flexible medium. I hope the audience will have a compelling and meaningful musical experience on a purely affective, emotional, visceral level. And at the same time, I hope that they will come out of it with an appreciation of the, what's the right word, the magnitude of change that is taking place as we're living it and has been taking place for the last for the last many, many years, and will continue to change over time. And we know that change will depend to great degree, hopefully, on how we relate to it.